Good evening. This is OrthoFi's Expert Insight webinar series. I'm Oliver Gellis, your host. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer for OrthoFi. I will be helping to moderate. I will be introducing our host in just a minute. For those of you that are just coming on board and have never done our webinars before, OrthoFi is all about giving back to the industry. All of these solutions are about helping your practice, not necessarily about you using OrthoFi, although obviously all of these insights are built in to our solution. And that's why we partner with some of the most insightful and well-known minds in the industry. Our speaker tonight is no exception to that. But I will do a little bit of Black Cloak reveal. We're going to start with the title tonight, which is something close to my heart. Tonight's webinar is called Unlock Your Inner Badass, Become Your Best Self to Thrive in the Practice of Tomorrow. So this will make you uncomfortable. And there are a lot of really innovative things that we're going to be talking about tonight. Tonight is about joining us for an empowering journey where the dynamic world of orthodontics and personal growth converge. You're going to discover how to tap into your potential by becoming, as our speaker likes to say, infinite-minded to redefine your practice and ensure long-term success. So buckle up. We're going to get into it. A little bit of housekeeping before I introduce our speaker. So if you are interested in getting CE credits, we are offering CE credits tonight. And so in order to be able to register, if you've not already registered, we will be providing a link in the chat box. So go there, and at any time during or after the webinar, you can go to that link and register yourself to receive the CE credits, which of course goes to your state board. I will be providing the code at the end of this that allows you to submit to receive your CE credits. So towards the end of the webinar, as soon as the education portion is over, I will be announcing that code. In terms of asking questions, we definitely want this to be really interactive. And so if you have questions, do not post them in the chat box. We will monitor them and try to port those over. But if you can, if you look at the bottom of your screen, the toolbar also shows a Q&A button. If you click that, it will solicit you to enter any questions. We will be collecting those questions. And then at the end, we'll be going over all those questions with our next speaker, who I'm about to introduce right now. So our next speaker, good friend of mine, personal friend, Brian Wright. Brian is an internationally recognized motivational speaker. He's the business and life coach for some of the most respected doctors in dentistry and orthodontics. He is the founder and CEO of New Patient Group, which works with tons of great practices. And he is the host of the New Patient Group podcast. And he's also the managing partner of Right Chat. You'll be hearing about some of these solutions throughout the evening. Brian is, in addition to all that, if that weren't enough, he's also trusted by some of the top companies in our space in healthcare as a consultant and a speaker, including Align Technology, Henry Schein, of course, OrthoFi, Propel Orthodontics, Dental Monitoring, and more. And he's also an author, writes articles for the Benson and Koppel resource, and has been featured in Dental Economics in their Ask the Expert section. So it's my distinct pleasure to introduce your speaker for this evening.
Wow, thanks for that introduction. Hey, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth, the traveling broadcast booth, that is. I've been coaching Dr. Robert Schaefer here in Champaign, Illinois all day, and that's why I have the hat on tonight. I raced home after a long coaching day with them. That's us today. And here in the hotel, coming to you live, and look forward to spending the next hour, just like I did with Robert Schaefer's team today, taking you outside the comfort zone and setting you up for success. Look, this is a totally different world we live in. And one of the things that I love to teach is how you can go from a procedure over people practice to a people over procedure business. You are all in a people business first. And we can agree, looking at my screen there, the previous slide that I showed, of chaos and stress in a packed waiting room, whether you're growing or you're not growing, whatever your problems are, they can be solved by changing a mindset from a finite thinker to an infinite thinker, understanding fully that you must think and speak as people first business because you are selling to a people first person. They are not clinical like you all are. And what we're going to be talking about today is how can we take a lot of the negative chatter? You know, there's so much chatter going on around a down economy and a presidential election and all the things that are wrong with orthodontics, the shoppers, and they're not serious. Well, that's okay if they're not serious. You just have to learn a new skill set on how to get them to be serious. How do you get them to pay you 8 when the other 3 opinions are 5,000? But there's a new skill set that's required. And part of that skill set to take a busy practice, a procedure over people practice to a people over procedure practice is creating opportunities where other people are simply not looking. The reality is there are so many things that are staring all of you in the face. Your no-shows, as an example. If you go and you multiply your average case fee times your new patient no-shows, if you go look at the amount of revenue all of you are losing as it stands today, just from your new patient no-shows, you literally could eliminate all of your advertising dollars, dump it into fixing the new patient no-shows, and you all will grow $150,000+ this year. The problem, though, is you've got to change the mindset. You've got to change the mindset of maybe the patient no-show is on the new patient to what are we doing wrong or what could we do better to get those people to show up. And again, it's all about looking where other people are not looking. Now let's look at something really quick. There are 3 things that we do with New Patient Group being the experience company, right? Build a better culture by training the leadership team, you and other people, how to be exceptional leaders. How do you train your employees on sales, hospitality, customer service, verbiage, presentation from real experts in those areas? How do you train them uniquely? And then how do you create a digital marketing presence that is bar none the best? And how do you combine these 3 things together to create a very unique journey that tells a story about your brand that nobody else, forget orthodontics, no other people business can compete with? And what you're going to see bringing up on the screen here are things, those 3 things on the previous screen, and then also what you're seeing on the screen now, are things we're going to touch on tonight that absolutely will get your mind in a different place, will become a better version of you. Employees watching, we're going to show an exercise here in a minute that I hope will help change your career and also your life. Business owners that are also doctors watching, I want to show you an exercise that can change your life and your business. And some of these exercises tonight, you know, when I do them live, they obviously will come across better. So these are exercises, if you have paper and you're stationary right now, I do want you to do them. But I also want you to bring these exercises and your next morning meeting or your blocked weekly meetings that you have with your team to execute your playbook. I want you to do these together because what you're seeing on the screen here is a journey. Experience is never about one thing. This is a very transactional, singular focus industry where if you have a conversion problem, people say, what's wrong with your TC? If you have good conversion, people say, wow, you have a great TC. When the reality is, customer service and experience is a choreographed journey to get what you want by delivering more than expected. And what you see on the screen there is your journey. Screenshot it. Stick this in your mind as those previous 3 things that I had on that screen, expand it out, is this journey. And it all functions as a story. It all functions as a book. And it's so critical that all of you understand that it's never about one thing. You may have to focus on one thing to get it implemented, but it's never about one thing. It's about the whole. And as we dive in right now, we're going to start with leadership and culture. You know, inevitably our lives, everybody, and employees watching, your careers, reps watching, your careers, and business owners, doctors watching, the success of those things fall right in between the desires you want to accomplish and the greatest fears standing in the way. And we all have them. It could be anxiety. It could be, hey, I'm scared to ask my boss for a raise. Doctors, a lot of times your clinical brain, you know, your clinical pursuit of perfection interferes with your entrepreneur success. right? As an entrepreneur, the best ones implement fast. They implement faster than everybody else. They screw it up more than everybody else because then they can fix it before the next guy or girl has even implemented it, right? So sometimes the fear just may be indecision, which is the enemy of progress. It may be you know what to do, right? You know the vision of the practice that you want to become, but you don't know how to get there and you don't seek help. You're indecisive on which way to go. And this happens to a lot of us, right? It's not just you. It happens to me. It happens to everybody. But the more you're willing to tackle your fears, the more you're willing to stomp on those fears, the more your desires are going to slide your way, the more they're going to come your way, the more you're going to accomplish. But you do have to think differently than how a lot of you already think. And I want you to do a quick exercise. And I know this won't, if I'm in front of an audience and we do this, I can say, hey, hold it up. So again, like I said, for some of you out there, I just want you to maybe, if you're driving in a car, just listening, whatever it is, I want you to think about this exercise, but I do want you to do it when you get stationary and especially with your team. For those of you who can do this, I want you to do it right now, is I want you to draw a tree, and it can be anything. Don't overthink it. A lot of times I get a Christmas tree or palm tree or whatever. You can color it if you want, whatever it is, but draw a tree. And while you're drawing this tree, there's another exercise I want you to do too. And it's a life, career, and business exercise that we put all of our private clients through. And I want you to write down some of the things that you want to achieve in your life. All right. Some of and be greedy, right? You could be, you want 25 cars if you're a car guy. Matter of fact, the guy I just came from, he's on tonight, Robert Schaefer, big car guy like me. So we have a lot in common. We stayed in his car late last night talking about cars. We went out to dinner, talking about business and cars. But whatever it is, you may want to give all your money away and help the needy. Whatever it is, there is no right or wrong. The only wrong is when you stand in somebody else's way of accomplishing what they want out of life. But write those things down. Employees, your career. I want you to write down, excuse me, I'm going to unshare here, and then I'm going to reshare. Give me just a second here. Bear with me. There we go. For some reason it kicked me off. So let me pull those things back up. And there we go. All right. So employees, your career, same way. Right? I want you to get out as much of your career as you can possibly get out. So I want you to write down on paper what you want out of your career: a promotion, a pay raise, a bonus, notoriety, whatever it may be. You want a better job title, whatever it might be. I want you to get that on paper. And for everybody listening or watching, it's really important that you get these type of things on paper, because until it's on paper, it is very hard to accomplish. And there's a point that I'm going to bring home here in just a second with all of this. And that third one, doctors your business. And when you do this, you can do it together as a team, but everybody still needs to do it individually, right? And you can look at what each other has and blah, blah, blah. But as a business, that could be increased production, increased cash flow. It could be increased efficiency, could be reduced chaos, could just simply be to grow, get more new patients, lower advertising dollars, whatever it is. Be greedy and write down as many things that you want to accomplish as possible. All right. So now, and we're just going to have to move on for purposes. Like I said, if this was live, it'd be a little bit different on how we're going to handle it. But it's very ironic when you do this exercise, because the one thing people rarely, if ever, do is draw the roots of the tree, the brains, the most important piece of the puzzle of the tree. Very few people ever draw the roots. If you have an audience of 500, maybe one or two, when they hold up their picture, when I ask who drew the roots, do they hold it up? And you ask yourself, why is this? Why can the most important piece, the brains that feeds the tree, why can this be left out of so many people's drawings? And the answer is, and when you start to think about it, is somewhat obvious, right? It's you can't see them. And I want to show something here really quick. If you go back to the exercise, this is a lot of times what we get in life. We get a better status. I want to buy my first home, or maybe a bigger home. My car piece of junk. I want to buy a better car. Or maybe like Rob Schaefer and I, we just love cars, want additional car, clothes, money, whatever it may be. Career, promotion, raise, money, bonus, more recognition, whatever that is. And by the way, doctors listening, business owners listening, leadership team members listening, recognition oftentimes for some people is more important than the bonus. So if you're somebody that it's hard for you to give words of affirmation, but you have an employee that really loves it, you have to remember sometimes the best bonus you can give is saying, Susie, I'm really proud of you. You mean the world to me. You've been working your butt off, and I just want to know that I notice it and I appreciate it. So simple, but a lot of you don't do it. right? And this goes back to leadership is a trained skill set. And I'm going to show a slide here about that here in just a second. Now, businesses, production, collections, revenue, profit, more customer patients, whatever you want to call them, reduce my aligner bill, maybe grow my aligner bill, but learn how to be more profitable with it as it grows, whatever it is, run a truly digital workflow practice, which is what we specialize in teaching. So you look at this, and this is the norm. We get a lot of this. Right now, you look at the roots, though, right? People put those that I just talked about because you can feel them, you can touch them, you can print them out in your practice management software. This is stuff that the finite thinkers are obsessed with. And when things go well, you feel good about yourself, right? You may not seek help if you look on paper and your production's good, or you're happy with your conversion, or your take-home pay is great. You're not seeking help, when in reality, you should be seeking help like crazy because there's lost opportunities everywhere. The problem is the leaky holes don't print out in your management software. Employees wanting a promotion, your leaky holes and what you need to get better at, you can't put your finger on it a lot of times. Same way in our life. But really what matters, just like it does to the tree, to make it beautiful and green and big, beautiful leaves, and healthiness and getting people to drive down the street saying, wow, that's a beautiful tree. It's the roots. It's what you can't see. And it's the same thing for all of your businesses. It's the same thing for your practice. It's the same thing for your career and lives. It's what you can't see, what you can't put your finger on that truly matters. So many of you spend so many thousands of dollars a year gaining access to finite data that you should know, and that's important. But what you don't invest in is the stuff that actually moves that in the direction you want it to go, which is, again, the stuff you see, how you're training your people, how you get your leadership team trained, the digital marketing, how you focus, your work ethic, are you coachable or not, your mindset, all the things that you see there on the screen. You can't see them, you can't print them out, and oftentimes they get ignored because you can't feel them. Now, this is an exact same situation if you look at Blockbuster and how their demise happened. So many people know the top level story where Netflix went to the Blockbuster and said, here's our idea, we would like to partner, right? It could have been an acquisition, a merger, whatever it may be, but we want to partner. And the president of Blockbuster at the time loved the idea. He took it to the board of Blockbuster and he said, Blockbuster guys, we've got to do this. This is the future. And Blockbuster, the board, turned him down. Why did they turn them down? Well, at the time, 12% of Blockbuster's revenue came from late fees. Blockbuster sabotaged their entire powerhouse because their MBAs and their people at top could not overlook the finite data, the tree. They could not say, this is innovative, this is the future. Even if we take a loss today and we lose that revenue, on paper in the tree, it's going to hurt. But we know 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, it's going to set us up for future success. And for so many of you, you have to remember how important that is, because a lot of times the roots is not instant gratification. It's not a return tomorrow. Just like the best stocks doesn't give you the money tomorrow a lot of times. It may be constantly putting it in anytime it dips, and over time it produces a huge return. And as a business owner, you should constantly be investing your money in things that produce a return. Those are not a cost. You cannot put those into the same category. In this, while you may be rethinking that exercise, this is something proven on the finite versus infinite thinkers. This is how many of you hire. So Navy SEALs Team 6, and this is a longer in-person presentation that I'm doing. I'm going to break this down really quick. That's why they're all up on the screen. Up the left-hand side, you see performance, right? This is, can you save lives in the battlefield? If I'm shot and I'm going down, can you drag me off the battlefield in time? This is your assistant chairside that knows your protocols, is good with the patient, can clean the sterilization room, etc. Trust is, can I trust that? And the way they describe it is, and it's pretty funny, performance is, can I trust you with my life? Trust is, can I trust you with my wife? Right? And the trust piece for the employees is just, are they coachable? Do they do the right thing when you're not looking? Do they want to get, do they help their team members? Are they growth mindseted, or are they stagnant and fixed mindseted? Whatever it may be. But if you look at this screen, you've got low performer, low trust in the left-hand corner. That's somebody nobody wants, right? We all can agree nobody wants that employee. In the opposite perspective, you have the high performer, high trust in the upper right-hand corner. Everybody wants that person, right? That's the superstar athlete on the basketball court that also in the locker room makes everybody else better. Right? But an interesting thing on how we hire is that we take the top left, we take the high performer, low trust, and that who's end up your leadership team in your office. Right? The person that's great with the patient knows your protocols, but the rest of the team can't stand them. And you all have this person, you know exactly who I'm talking about. If you don't, you're rare, right? Because we promote based on what we can see on paper, right? Great salesperson makes all the sales, is constantly every quarter ahead of the team. All of a sudden, that salesperson becomes the leader. Meanwhile, he drives down the performance of everybody else because nobody likes him, nobody respects him. And this right here is where all of you should strive to get high performers, or excuse me, high trust people on your team and develop them, develop their lives, their careers, their skill sets. And you will not believe how your HR headaches go away. You will not believe the return on investment you get by hiring people that will do whatever it takes for your business, your practice to succeed. And you should do whatever it takes to build your team way. But we don't. And again, we don't because high trust, you can't put your finger on that data. High trust is the roots that will grow your business like you can't believe. The tree is a liar, everybody. That data lies to you. And it's so critical to know it, but it's also so critical to understand it's also not telling you the truth. It's not how many referrals you got. It's the fact that your team knows how to ask for them, right? So if you have 20 referrals this month, as an example, and you may be happy with that or not. My question to you is how many did you not get because your experience isn't driving them, your team's not trained to ask for them properly, et cetera, et cetera. And that's again, you can't put your finger on that. So looking at this, we're going to pull this back up. This does not need to be, I didn't mean to have this as animated. There we go. Let me circle this. So culturally, the lesson there is you have got to rethink how you look at numbers. You have to rethink how you hire. You have got to rethink the entire process in order to get the most out of your practice. Kind of an ending story on that before we dive into training your people in a unique way, setting up your office in a unique way, and how you can use digital marketing to reduce your no-shows, get people to show up to your door. All right, it's a very unique way we use digital marketing. We use it the standard ways, of course, to get new calls, but beyond that, even more importantly, we use it to reduce appointment times, to increase patient compliance, drive more referrals, get to show up ready to buy when they come in as their first exam. So the lesson there with the culture piece, everybody, is you can't let data drive your decisions. You have to be an infinite thinker and say to yourself, look, I'm always going to build the culture in my office by constantly looking to make myself and my other team members better. The other one is how do I constantly, repetitively, ongoing, train my people in a way that other people, businesses will not commit to? And then how do I do my digital marketing in a way no one else will too? Again, and when you combine those, unbelievable things happen. And it's why we guarantee you'll have your best year ever with us, or we give you all of your money back. We can make that guarantee because everybody does. So now we're going to dive into employee training and digital marketing. I'm going to do a drill here, no pun intended, since there's a drill there. I didn't even mean to say that. I just realized that I said that. But I want you to do this with your team. All right. So again, if you're stationary, you can think this through probably a little bit better. But when I do this drill, or when I do this drill on stage, I bring up people and I say, there's usually 3 people I bring up, and I say, look, every drill is the same. You have a red drill, same brand, same color. There are no differences. Sell me the drill. And time and time and time and time again, people, and it's usually the TCs that I bring up, but I also bring up receptionists too. Time and again, they go right into the drill pitch, right? It's red and it helps you do this and blah, 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 blah. And they all say the same thing, just in a different way. And this is a mistake a lot of you make out there, in that you are trying to sell the drill when in the consumer's mind, you're all the same. I can buy Invisalign from 10 places. I can buy a different clear aligner from 5 places. I can buy braces from 10 places. That's what they're thinking, until you sell them to think otherwise. And I want to paint a little quick picture for you as we dive into this section, right? Marketers, especially not good ones, and this is a lot, like I said, it's not just orthodontics. This is restaurants don't fully understand this. Corporations don't fully understand this a lot of times. And this goes back to the infinite mindset. Marketers try to sell the drill, but consumers buy the whole. And I'm going to repeat that because this is something mindset wise on the next thing I'm going to bring up is so critical for all of you to understand. Marketers try to sell their product. They try to sell their service. Even if they're commoditized and on the surface, I can buy that product or service anywhere. And the problem with that is that is what you all do in the exam room. It's what the receptionist does. It's what the assistants do when they're talking chairside. It's what a lot of you do in the exam, is you try to sell the treatment modality, the drill. When in reality, what people are really buying is your experience, your ability to personalize that experience throughout the customer journey, tailored to each individual differently. Right, I got asked a question. I spoke for Invisalign in Salt Lake a couple of months ago. Guy asked, do you believe in the virtual consults? Is that what I should be doing, or bring everybody in? And I said, that answer is simple. One, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the consumer thinks. We pride as a company not teaching what Brian Wright thinks or what the rest of our team thinks. We teach what the consumer wants. And when you do that, it's amazing things that happen. But the answer is that you offer both. Right? You say, we've got this full on-site in-house experience. This is what happens. This is what you should expect. But we can do it virtually, and it's really innovative, and it's new, and it's hip and cool, and people love it. Which would you prefer? And that's how you personalize an experience. You let them tell you what they want. And there's so few businesses that do it that way. Hospitality, your flexibility with payment options. For those of you out there, it's never about being cheap. And we just talked about it at Rob Schaefer's practice today. The reality is you can be 8,000 and the other opinions be 5,000. But if you're more flexible and you offer a better experience and your team knows how to sell and you're showing off a different ambiance, you're showcasing your technology. The reality is, if you're more flexible on top of that, you're more affordable, even though you're $3,000 more expensive. The uniqueness, this is what people are buying. All right, and I'm going to show you some things here that prove it. So according to Harris Interactive, as it stands today, great place to get data. I love it. Just a few years ago, this number was 88%. As it stands today, 91% of people surveyed basically said that you're better off offering a crappy product and a crappy service as long as the experience along the way is better. That's what this stat is saying. It's saying 91% of people surveyed said that they would choose and or remain with a business because of their experience, right? So the first way I said it is just a different way of that. It is saying that the experience trumps the product. This is why, and this survey, it counts in orthodontics too. Nobody wants a bad result. No one's teaching you to give a bad result. That's the last thing. A part of the experience is the clinical quality, is the clinical excellence. That's part of your culture. You want to screw up your culture, nickel and dime the products you buy and offer bad clinical results, right? Good luck building a culture there, right? You have two cultures. You have your practice culture, you have your business culture. That is going to be an upcoming podcast as well, because those two things, while the same, they're also different. They drive different experiences for different employees, et cetera, et cetera. But this goes back to being a people over procedure business. That is how you win. Experience solves all. If you want to increase sales, increase starts, increase revenue, improve patient compliance, lessen chaos, lessen stress, lower advertising dollars. I could go on and on and on. Your answer to it all is experience. That is what people buy. That's what you buy when you go out and you shop for products. It is what the consumer sitting in your office, as well as 3 others, are buying. That's what they can relate to. So let's look at some training, and let's look at some digital marketing combined. Okay. And one of the things that I go around speaking when I speak to all of you, or if I'm speaking in front of other entrepreneurs outside of the industry, is you all have a consumer journey, right? Everyone has what you're seeing on the screen, and it's pretty similar, by the way. It's for a restaurant: culture, marketing, the new customer call, pre-arrival, arrival, right? You have all these things. So every business is different, but every business is very similar at the same exact time. And one of the things that all of you need to remember is that, sure, should you ask a clinician for advice? Of course you should. Should you find consultants that are born and raised in your industry, as in former TC? Of course you should. Of course you should do all that. The problem becomes is when that's all you do. Because when you go outside your world and you look at people that are consumer experts, psychology experts, hospitality experts that teach things at a very, very high level, but know how to bring it inside orthodontics, that is what makes you unique. So looking at this, I'm about to show you some ways to do it completely different. But the reason we started the way we did was none of this will ever get implemented in your practice. You will leave this thinking it's a good idea and you will never do it. You will never pick up the phone and call us. You will never pick up the phone and call OrthoFi. You will sit and just be stagnant and complain about the way things are. You have got to get up off your rear and you have got to take action, everybody. You have to take action and be an infinite-minded leader, because what you're seeing on the screen and what I'm about to go into, you cannot print out in your management software. This is all going back to having a culture that obsesses over your employee experience and obsesses over your customer experience. This is a culture that constantly talks to your team about what can we do differently and better for the customer today than we did yesterday. Instead of what's our production, what's our new pay. Matter of fact, if you want to know if you're a finite leader, this is your answer. If you are constantly looking at your production, collections, new patients, your conversion, and you are constantly looking at that, your head's constantly in the books, you're constantly pounding it down your team, you have goals around those numbers, you are a finite leader. You're Blockbuster. Infinite-minded leaders rarely talk about that stuff to their team. Ask my employees, and what do I talk about a lot? Yeah, do I get frustrated when we have down years or bad months? Of course. Like there's some that, Stephanie is probably laughing right now. She's listening. Like she's one of the ones I vent to about it. Brian Lewis, he's on here too. He's another one. I vent to him on the Right Chat side, my other company. Right? So of course you can still vent and talk about it. But they all know my main obsession and why I get frustrated when we don't do well is because I am obsessed over our customers getting the best experience. I am obsessed with their business growing. I take pride when they succeed. And that is the culture we have, and that is the culture all of you should have. And you should constantly be talking about it with your team. Constantly. Culture, training, marketing. Those three things are the pillars of experience, the pillars of success. All right, now let's dive into digital marketing and how you can use digital marketing to revamp before they show up, right? This is the new patient calls over. We can't hit on everything tonight. So I went into the bag of goodies and we got them out. So calls over, it's on the books. Now what? Right, now I want to kind of preference this with some stats. So 51% of Gen Z women use video search on TikTok to find things. All right? Ask yourself, are you TikTok? Are you creating videos? If you're not, that's one of those you can't put the finger on the loss, but you were missing 51% of the Gen Z women population. Right? Other ones, YouTube. YouTube is about to surpass Google as the largest search engine in the world. I think it's down to 2 years, according to reports, the way it's growing. And there's so many others. YouTube reaches more consumers than any broadcast cable TV network. Your search results on Google are tied to the video marketing you're doing on YouTube. YouTube video marketing is a big part of what we do, and it is mandatory in today's world. You have to do it, but you've got to use it, again, thinking experience. You've got to think, what can I do now that the phone call's over? What can we think outside the box? And what can we do that's unique? Right? Not to the other practice, but to all the people businesses, right? I hang up with a restaurant and I make a reservation for the first time, right? Think about all the times. What happens? Standard crap. Text messaging, auto response messaging, you may get an email. And this is the same thing a lot of you may even get a phone call from some of them. This is what all of you do. And then you wonder why no-shows happen, right? So we're not going to talk about this piece tonight, but one I want to throw in is that for everyone listening, you have to be digital with your paperwork. If you're analog in any way, meaning that they have to print it out, they've got to come in and complete it, you are behind the game, and you must change that. Today is one of your top-minded things. And again, you can't put your finger on analog versus digital paperwork. There's nowhere in your management software that says, what's my conversion, analog or digital, right? But the infinite-minded thinker that's constantly obsessed with customer experience, what are they thinking? Do you think the digital paperwork is better or analog? Of course, it's the digital, right? They've got to be able to tap a few buttons on the phone. It can't be 97 pages long. It's got to be easy, simple, streamlined. Your receptionist has to sell the value. And if that happens, then you win. They will get it filled out accurate and early, and you increase the chances of them showing up and starting. But I want to show you, because digital marketing and YouTube is so important. And yes, you should be blasting videos and using it to get new phone calls and everything, of course. But if you really go infinite-minded on this and you say, I really want to transform the experience of the relationships with people I already have, right? And you kind of have one with a new patient now, right? You got them scheduled. Now what? And I want to show you a couple of things here. What's standard, right? Just like I talked about, what's standard? Some confirmation calls, some text messages, that's normal. Right. But what if we do this? And I'm sure here that I'm gonna unshare this. Give me 1 second, because I want to make sure you all are going to be able to hear my, let me see this, share sound. There we go. Share sound. I do not have a password, so this may or may not work, everybody. And if it doesn't, then I'm just verbally explain it. Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Johnson and Emma. I am Stephanie, the treatment coordinator here at Williams Orthodontics. I just wanted to virtually pop in and meet you guys, and also let you know I'm here to guide you along the whole journey. And I've been doing some research on your benefits. You have $1,500 of orthodontic coverage, which is awesome, and going to help us get Emma started right away. I am here to help, so please don't hesitate to reach out, and I can't wait to see you guys on Thursday.
So again, infinite-minded thinking experience, and those are key psychological terminologies that we train on that she used, right? That is an intentional trained verbiage, right? Employee training, how to speak. Psychology means know how to speak, when to speak, why to speak it. Because you can say the right words at the wrong time, no impact. You can say the wrong words at the right time and actually have an okay effect. But all this goes back into experience. How the waiter speaks directly impacts, do they buy the $300 bottle of wine at the table, or do they buy the 100? Maybe just a glass. Do they buy the specials that evening or on the menu items? That is all controlled by how the waiter speaks. It's the same thing with you. Whatever you want. Remember, the definition of customer service. Everybody embed this in your mind. The definition of customer service is when you get what you want from your customer. Meanwhile, they believe they got more than expected from you. Now, I didn't put a slide in there about that tonight, because if I start talking about that, we're going to be here for 20 days. But I want you to remember that. To be a true customer service brand, you must win. But you must offer experiences that get people to do what you want them to do and feel great. Like the waiter experience. I just got back from Santa Barbara. We have a customer, the great Drew Ferris out there. And I went there on my 10th anniversary. Went to 4 amazing restaurants. And one of them stuck out the most. And they did a lot of the things that we train restaurants and things on, and orthodontists on. And the waiters were so good at making you feel awesome, spending more money, right? That's the training that you've got to bring inside your practice. Hourly employees have the potential to be great, but they do not come to your office trained with the skill sets that would be required to go work at a restaurant that would be at $600 for a table for 2. Or a Ritz-Carlton, et cetera. That's what we want and what we bring into the practice and why it works. It's not about numbers. It's about infinite-minded things. You want to end chaos? There's a journey to get there. You want increased conversion? You map out the journey, right? Your phone call is just as much to do with your TC with conversion. But one of the things she said, and this is data from OrthoFi, and it's always intrigued me, and I've seen it because we've tracked this stat in our practices, is that she went over the insurance coverage. So now you can imagine when you give insurance coverage to people, when is it normally? It's very reactive. It's when you present money. Yes, your insurance is going to cover $1,000 and the total's this and blah, blah, blah. Well, That doesn't give her a chance, mom, a chance to get prepared and talk to dad. That's one of the reasons why I got to talk to dad. Right. So if you get them and you deliver the insurance information prior to them even arriving, you are different and unique, just that alone, than the other places they are scheduling. It allows them to talk to dad, get their finances ready, maybe be prepared and ready to go. And OrthoFi has data, now so do we, that not only does your conversion go up, but your same-day starts go up just by that communication. We also have data that when you call as a TC versus this video, that the video gets more responses, more people coming in saying thanks for sending it, because we live in a video world. Phone call is analog. Use the power of video. Now, this is a personal video. This does not go, the next one I'm going to show you is different, but this does not go on your YouTube station. This is per patient, totally personalized, text to their phone, easy, but hard because it's different. It's unique, but that's why we teach it, because this is unexpected behavior that gets people to go, damn, I want to see more with this. It's the halo effect. Psychology, the halo effect. Damn, I want to learn more. The receptionist was unique. Their digital marketing's unique. TC's sending me a video. I know my insurance coverage. They're digital with their paperwork. Of course, that person's going to come in. You've got to be unique. Now, let's look at this one. What's standard? Again, automated text reminders. But what about this on your YouTube station? This is Jeff Pascal's office in outside of Atlanta. So we're going to continue for time purposes, but just like before, see, that one goes on your YouTube station. So how are you driving people to your station? You're using it as experience tools for the people that have already scheduled with you. This reduces the no-shows, gets them in a better psychological place to buy. And again, when you combine, and I want you to use your infinite brain, when you combine all these chapters together to create this beautiful story, you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable. Look, the chatter around down economy, 68% of Fortune 1000 companies were created during a recession or a Great Depression. 68%. And it's because great leaders anticipate. They use interesting times, whether those times are bad, good, whatever it is. They use those to their advantage. Where finite leaders complain about these situations when other people are in the same situations and kicking butt, right? And there's so many things about our lives and careers and businesses where you can talk, where you can, two people with a slow metabolism, one succeeds at their goals, one doesn't. Two business owners, one's in a crappy economy, the other's in a crappy economy, one kicks butt, the other doesn't, right? We're all in the same conditions. It's just what you do with those conditions. And all of you have such an opportunity. I'll talk more about this in just a little bit. Such an opportunity to kick everyone else's butt, not orthodontists, not GPs, not healthcare, but all people businesses. But you've got to change that mindset. It's never about one thing. You've got to be an infinite leader. You've got to understand you cannot include costs and investment. OrthoFi, investment, not a cost. You can afford that. My other company, RightChat, investment, not a cost. New Patient Group, investment. Invisalign, investment. These things all produce a return on your time, your money, your efficiency, your chaos, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That cannot be lumped into the same category as your practice management software or your electricity bill. You can always afford investments. You minimize your cost, maximize your investments, and you will kick people's butt along the way. Now we got them to show up. And I want you to do, and I don't have it in here, but I want you to do an exercise for me. And I want you to always look at this. And this is something we guarantee we reduce 30% or your money back. What I'm talking about right now is your no-shows. I want all of you to go and look at how many new patient no-shows you've had for the last year. This is data you have to look at. Not many of you do. I want you to multiply that times whatever your is, 6,000. And I guarantee you, if you take that over a 5-year span, you have more than $1 million of potential revenue lost from one area of practice. That if you just focused, you just came outside your box, you just went infinite-minded, and you just focused on correcting and fixing those 30%, you'll have the best year of your life. All of you will grow $100,000 to $300,000 this year if you reduce your no-shows 30%. It is a problem for all of you. And if you want your absolute accurate number, then take whatever you're converting today. Say it's 70%, which is higher than the national average. Let's say you're at 70%. All you do is say, okay, this is what the money that would have been in my pocket had these people shown up. That's all you got to do. But now they arrived. And I want to talk about some things.
You walk in, you're like, no. This ain't gonna work. Yeah. Doctor walks in, all the buttons on his lab coat were off by one.
I'm getting some messages that some of the videos are playing and some aren't. But that's my favorite comedian, Brian Regan. And what he's talking about is that he went to a doctor, and you ever had that feeling where it's just not the right fit? Well, the doctor walks in, and his buttons on his lab coat were all off by one. And he's taught, hey, if you can't nail that task, I don't want your paws on me. And it's a really funny video. But what you have to understand is consumers pay attention to everything, everything. My dad was an engineer when he was alive, mechanical, and he would have walked in your office, and this is no bull, and this is something I am telling you, everything matters. He would have walked in your office, and if a picture was crooked on your wall, he would have not bought from you. He literally said, if you can't nail that task, how in the world are you straightening my kid's teeth? And this is what you, and again, nowhere in your management software, nowhere, anywhere would you ever be able to put your finger on that. But it goes back to infinite-minded, always thinking experience, how your ambiance looks, waiting room, et cetera, et cetera. People notice if you're a procedure over people practice, like so many are and so many look like this. Your front desk is nuts. Your phones are up there. You don't run a concierge, a true concierge experience. Your waiting room's packed. Your clinical chairs are packed, et cetera. This is what can transform it to if it's a full concierge. Now, this is Regina Levin's practice, customer for, 8 or 9 years now. And when you go full concierge, one of the things we do is, one, it's a no wait time policy. Everybody, existing patients included, are greeted immediately without waiting, right? And that's possible if it's a goal. Right? Now, you can't put your finger on the return that you get from that. Again, it goes back to obsessing over your customer, right? But we take the wide smile photo. For so many of you that have the iTero machine, it's underutilized. And one of the things that's underutilized, the in-face visualization, where now you can get the before and after smile with their face embedded in it, right? But the excuse is we don't have time, blah, blah, blah. Well, yes, you have time. But you have to rethink things, reimagine job descriptions, reimagine that immersive consumer experience. And when you get this, all of a sudden, mom's like, hey, what are you doing there? Because the other opinion didn't do that. You say, Mom, we're taking this wide smile photo. I know the receptionist edified it on the phone call about our 3D simulation and getting to see what your smile is going to look like. It's so amazing. Why don't you get one too? Mom, do you want me to take your picture? And that's how you have a dual start scenario. Right? Our practices left and right, start the kid and also start the mom that brought the kid that had no intention in starting. But again, it's experience through sales. All right. You've got to change the front desk experience. Now let's look at a couple. We're going to wrap up the digital workflow and exam processes. Okay. Is this you? You know, it drives me crazy seeing big TV screens in the waiting rooms where nobody should wait. And then you go into the TC rooms and they have these itsy bitsy little screens. It's like that should be reversed. Like, get a whiteboard monitor, $3,000 to $5,000. Get a Big Daddy on there that you can draw on. It'll produce a return. That's an investment. That's going to produce starts. You should all go do that and put that on the wall quickly. But if that's how you look, or is your exam room immersive? You know, for those of you scanning, which you all should do on every new patient, don't lay them back. The mandibular changes. The true bright is when they're sitting straight up, or you see a modern looking chair like that. You should scan with them up. That's the way Align teaches it. We teach it, and you're going to get more accurate scans. But then is, again, are you using that scan? Or are you using outdated photos, big cheek retractors? They are not necessary anymore, everybody. The scanner should be 90% of your exam focus. Now, if you have a 3D X-ray machine, of course, that should be part of it. Very intriguing, big sales tool as well. But these things, you have to ask yourself, which is a people business first, the previous screen or this one? Which is showcasing tech? Which one is not? Got to ask yourself these questions. Again, you're not going to see the return on it maybe, but this one you actually will, meaning that if you use the scanner right, your conversion is going to go up. So there's a button on here and a quick story for you. And this is where what's perfect to you is not always perfect to your customer. The adjust outcome button on the iTero, every doctor listening should use this as the first tool you use in your exam. You should adjust the outcome. You should move the teeth to get the patient to say what their main want is, their chief concern. Get them straight like that, and I'm on board. And adjust outcome is the best sales tool you have at your disposal, period. And it is so underutilized, and it's a big part of the training and the TC exam room and sales process that we teach. I'm not going to go into the story because I want to make sure we get through the rest of this. So pending treatment, everybody. And this is, we're going to wrap it up. So if you scan the new patients, you can send the scan home. That's going to make you completely unique compared to the other 2 or 3 opinions that may send analog-based photos home after they yank their cheeks into oblivion, right? You can send the scan home. You need to be doing that. The other piece is, and this is also where OrthoFi comes in, you cannot not scan and also or be non-digital with your contracts. If somebody comes into your office and they've also gone to 3 others and they say, let's think about it, you are now in a pending treatment experience battle. And this is why every single step is its own unique business. Like you could grow $100,000+ every year just with pending treatment. If you changed it, if you followed up differently, if you used it as an experience, and that's how your mind always was, you will win the pending treatment follow-up battle. One of the ways you have to be is you cannot expect people to come back for records, and you cannot expect people to come back to sign the contract. People at home need to be able to click a button to sign your contract. They need to be able to choose their payment plan. They tell you, open choice. They tell you how they're going to pay. You don't tell them. That's a flip of mindset that scares people as well, but it works. Affordability does not mean cheapness. Affordability allows you to be way more expensive than the other opinions. Right? So if you're the practice where I can click a button and sign at home, pick my payment method, I've got the scan there, and you educate me on, hey, look, scan's done. All we have to do is order the aligners. You don't have to lift a finger. We'll let you know when they're in, get that appointment scheduled. You will win that battle, even if you're more expensive, as long as you're more flexible and affordable. The other piece too, like I was just talking about, you have to digitalize your contracts. It is a non-negotiable in this economy with this consumer that's shopping around. You have to go back again and say, experience. I'm looking at this moment in time, how we greet people when they walk through the door, that given moment. How can we wow them? How can we train our team and set up the ambiance and set up the experience journey to, at that given moment, offer more than expected to get what we want, right? So this moment in time, what's more expected? Analog-based paperwork, I got to come back to take records on top of that, or a click of a button? It's obviously the click of a button. And again, these are things that drive your price up, and the conversion goes with it. And lastly, I want to give you a little secret here that is an absolute game changer. And I normally don't, if you see me speak, I give you a lot of goods that you can go back and do. This is one that I rarely give out because of the impact that it has, but I want all of you to listen to this simple thing that will let you know if moms are full of crap whenever they say, I need to go speak with my spouse. So ask yourself, I need to speak with my spouse. What your TC should be doing is great. Let's call them. I'm here. I can answer any questions. Let's give that a try. What almost always happens is they say no for whatever reason, at work, on an airplane, whatever the heck. Right? So step 2 is this. I tell you what, Mom, what do you think Dad's biggest concerns are? Well, price, and I don't think he really thinks he needs it. Okay, we hear that a lot. Let me do this. Get out your phone, Mom. I want you to video me. I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm going to go over the pricing options that we talked about, and I'm going to go over some of the exam things. can be about a 2-minute video right in there. And that way, when you go home, you can just click the play button. And that way you've alleviated the stress of trying to get started here. I'll take that burden off of you. And the moms love it, because who's better at selling the value, you and your team or mom to the dad? And obviously it's you and your team. And a lot of times mom's frustrated that she even has to talk to dad, or dad doesn't want the treatment because her and little Joey do want to start. And if they say no to that video for whatever reason, they are full of you know what. They don't need to talk to the dad. You just missed something along the way. All right. Remember, everybody, we use more sunscreen than all other countries in the world combined. But we have more skin cancer than all other countries in the world combined. We're the only country in the world that has a gluten allergy. You have a gluten problem, go to Italy, eat pasta all day long, you'll be fine. I think we're one of the only countries, if not the only, that has ADHD. And you say, what the heck are you talking about, Brian? Well, the reality is no matter what you do on the outside, cannot compete with what goes on the inside. What you're looking at is the marketing plan of every Shark Tank investor, of every billionaire on the planet. Is 70% of their budget is focused on their customer, focused on better experience, better leadership, better culture, better sales training, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The things that we do, right? On top of the digital marketing, right? What can we do to take our digital marketing to enhance experience? Only 5% is paid. They always have a goal of never spending another nickel on advertising. And it's possible, but so many of you, unfortunately, are reversed. You're looking outside your doors when you've got millions, all of you, and leaky holes everywhere. And you all have such a bright future ahead. I believe this is the golden age of orthodontics. Call me crazy, call me optimistic. I don't know, but there's so many people that don't think so, right? Corporations are taking over and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, just like a family-owned restaurant, if you kick butt with your food, your clinical quality, you kick butt with training your people, creating a culture that's awesome, and using your digital marketing in a way nobody else will, you will kick their butt, no matter how many people are surrounding you. But you must look to the future. You cannot look at the past. You cannot complain. You look to the future and you will kick everyone's butt. And I hope everybody enjoyed tonight. This is an experience presentation. We're an experienced company. Love speaking for OrthoFi. I want to say shout out to Oliver. Thanks for the great introduction. We love our partners and we love all of you. Thanks for listening. And we're open to questions now. Let me stop the share here and we'll do some question and answers. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
Thank you, Brian. Wow, that was a lot of amazing content. I hope all of you were paying a lot of great attention. I'm sure a couple of things hit you between the eyes. I love the focus on internal. I totally agree that there's so many holes. I love that you shone a light on, so many of them. And this is part of a series, right, Brian? We're going to be dealing with all kinds of other topics. So if you've not yet registered for a lot of the other topics throughout our summer, please look out for those invitations and register, and you will get a lot more of this fabulous content. So we do have a couple of questions I wanted to hit you with, Brian. So one of the things that I lecture on a lot that you hit on a little bit, and you even, came at it again, talking about how to make the most with getting, double starts with mom and all those consumers that are actually sitting in your practice that you have access to once a month, which many businesses would fall over themselves to have. But at the end of the day, like one thing I lecture on is, we're seeing this sustained kind of flat and slightly declining starts. And when you analyze the reason, what the data says is that child starts are flat, maybe even a little bit up, and adult starts are down. But if you peel the onion back even more, what you see is that adult exams last year, for example, were down 4%. Adult fixed appliance starts down 4%. Adult aligner starts down 11%. And so, wanted to know what you attribute that to, and what you tell your practices and how you help them avoid that. Because if a quarter of their business is aligners and it's down 11%, that alone is going to drive 2 to 2.5 points of drop. So what do you say about that, Brian?
Oh, 3-hour presentation, but we'll make it as quick. First of all, with being faculty for Align, we talk about a lot about this behind the scenes. And when the economy's down, everybody, usually parents sacrifice for their kids so the kid gets started instead of mom, right? As an example. So that's part of it. But what you all have to understand is all a down economy does is amplify the weaknesses that exist whenever people have money. And I love that topic because all of the, if you're struggling with conversion or your aligner starts are down or whatever it is, those problems exist when you have money, but you're just not feeling it because people have money, they shop less, etc. So you just touched on something, is that if you want your aligner starts to go up, one, it's obviously how you do your marketing and how your internal people sell and blah, blah, blah. But it's also you have the relapse industry, everybody, is a multi-bajillion-dollar opportunity for your practice. The people that just want a 6-month touch-up to get ready for the wedding in 8 months, those are people that are in your practice every single day bringing their kid in. But your experience and your team is not set up in a way to capture it. So what I would say is you've got to change the mindset, train your team, and also use your digital marketing to attract people that want the social 6. And I know some of you are, I don't want those patients. You should, right? Because I see it in practices all the time where you do the touch-up case, and guess what happens 2 years later? They come in for the need, right? They think you're God, they love you, and the next thing you know, they're buying the full case. So that's what I quickly would say is you've got to capitalize on opportunities that are there, but people are just letting moms come in and out all day long, and they have every excuse in the book why they don't start them. Not enough time, whatever it is.
Yeah, and one of the things that financially practices make a mistake of doing specifically with aligners, because understandably they have a different lab fee versus the cost of their fixed appliances, they tend to want to collect the full aligner case fee as a down payment. That is the one anomalous thing that practices do with that completely changes, especially in a tighter economy when people have less in their checking and savings accounts to write to you today as a down payment. Asking for anything more than $1,000 dramatically reduces your likelihood to convert. And so in the past, we've talked as OrthoFi a lot about open choice, and you did a fabulous job of highlighting how that helps. But one of the things I know you're a fan of, Brian, is the FPT 10 program. What should practices know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so a couple things on that. So on the price, I'm a small business owner, everybody, so I can relate to this better than the core. I can relate to it better than Invisalign, any other corporation. I get it. So when people are sitting there saying, take a lower down payment to start, I completely empathize with the reality of the aligner bill. I totally get it. So I want to preference that before I say what I'm about to say. If you ever want to be a fully digital, fully people business first practice that's not chaotic, that's totally efficient, profitable as well, you will sabotage it all by requiring a down payment to cover your lab fee, period. It'll never happen. The way you make money with aligners, just like remote monitoring, just like OrthoFi, it's a different reimagination of how the practice should run. It's set up in a way where if you lose Judy because she gets pregnant and doesn't come back, you don't have to replace them. It's not about firing them. It's about not having to go through the wash, rinse, repeat cycle for the rest of your life. It's a different way to run the business. So what Oliver just referenced, that was the Align, that was your partnership with Align, right? Yeah. So, and we have some practices that are already taking advantage of this. And I think in OrthoFi and Invisalign, you guys should promote this like crazy, because what this partnership allows you to do, if you're a current customer, it's a current customer thing, I believe. Anything I say is wrong, correct me, and you're in good standing with Invisalign, you can now finance your Invisalign bill for 0% for upwards of a year, right? Is that right?
10 months, 10
months.
equal payments.
Okay.
Starting from 30 days after you approve the case.
And everybody, I'm seeing it in a couple practice. It's a game changer if you take advantage of this, and it's a total no-brainer. If you're already an OrthoFi customer, total no-brainer. And for all of you, again, the aligner bill is usually the reason you think like braces should actually be priced higher than aligners. Why? Because I guarantee you, tomorrow when you go into your practice and you look at your waiting room and you look at your schedule and you look at your emergencies and you look at all the chaos, you can all tie it back to braces. And you may be thinking, well, my aligner patients, I have compliance issues. I get it. And that means your assistants have to be trained how to sell compliance. You've got to reimagine your existing patient experience. Like, the compliance issue is your fault. And I know that's hard to hear. Nobody wants to hear that. But every business deals with non-compliant customers. So you have to revamp the experience and the skill sets of your team, and people will be compliant.
That's great. So yeah, so for anyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about, these solutions, and you want to change materially your mix of using aligners in your practice, the FPT 10 program, which is exclusively offered to Orthofy customers, is definitely a way to boost that and jumpstart that. Another question from Dr. Chitra Durgam. What are the best practices for those getting a higher acceptance rate? If you were to dice it down to one or two things, I know you talked a lot about it, but anything like the top thing that you can think of right off the bat, Brian?
Yeah. So, hey, Doc, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know when you came on tonight, but you may have came on late. This is my quick answer is it's what I talked about tonight. It's the infinite-minded CEO is obsessing over patient experience. It's the one using the iTero scanner rather than analog-based photos. It's the one that trains the receptionist how to sell, not use them as a data collector. It's the one using their digital marketing to create experiences that the other opinions will never commit to. It's training your TC on sales. It's the ambient. It's everything that goes into it's culture, training, marketing. Those are the three things that I see that separate. Like, so our practices, over 90% had their best year during COVID. I think right now over 80% are having their best year ever right now. They don't advertise, by the way. Like, that's what I teach. Take every nickel you're spending outside your doors and reinvest it inside your doors or to organic digital marketing. And you'll kick, excuse the French, but because of the title tonight, you'll kick ass. But all of you have got to reshape and reimagine every single thing you've probably ever been taught. And that's hard. Some of you will get off the couch and do it. Others will keep doing it the same way. But the two things are persuasion and persuasion. The persuasion is everything you do before they arrive. The persuasion is everything you do after they arrive. And if you kick butt in those two areas, you're going to grow. It doesn't matter. The economy is an excuse, everybody. I know a lot of you don't want to hear that, but the economy is telling you where your weaknesses are whenever the economy is great. And if you constantly build a better culture, you constantly repetitively train your team, and you constantly produce content that's used right, you will grow in a down economy without spending nickel on advertising. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's the best answer I've got in a short amount of time.
Get this link, scan this code, and schedule yourself for an overview. And you complete that overview by the 2nd of July. You will receive $2,000 off of your setup fee. So if you've ever been interested in Orthofy, this is the best time. And the first 3 of you that sign up and complete those will receive even more. So 50% off implementation. So scan that code, schedule your overview, and you can get going and on your way with our amazing solution. In addition to that, I want to thank Brian and the New Patient Group. They have not one, but 2 really compelling offers. The first one is for those that are not Orthofy users. So if you are thinking about becoming an Orthofy user and you become an Orthofy user, Right Chat will offer you free, meaning waived, onboarding fee and first month free. That's a partnership between Orthofy and New Patient Group and Right Chat. So for non-Orthofy users, if you become an Orthofy user, that offer will be available to you. And in addition to that, if you are an existing user and you're on this webinar, in addition to what I just said, you will also get a complimentary digital marketing audit by Brian and his team. They do this all the time. It's part of, how they diagnose and see where they can find upside, and you will get that for free for being an Orthofy loyal user. Appreciate that. Anything you want to add, Brian?
One thing I'm going to add, I just want to throw this. I thought about it as we go. If you guys sign up for this, I will come at a discounted rate. We can discuss. You can contact the company at a discounted rate. Come in and do an all-day workshop inside your practice. So we can talk to you about those. My time with coaching customers is it's limited, but we'll make the time. If you get started with OrthoFi, you get started with us, you get a combination of both. I will come visit you, and we can talk about and implement this journey into your practice.
Fantastic. Well, Brian, thank you again for all that you do for our space, all that you do for our industry, and for the practices. And again, we're all about giving back. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of this. We want to wish you the best evening. So thank you, Brian. Thanks to everyone for joining tonight, and we'll catch you on the next OrthoFi Expert Insight webinar.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.